So I'm going to talk about roaming. I think I'm the first one to spend some time talking about the roaming charges and the proposals that are now before us. And to begin with, I'd like to say that the Three Group, which are 6 operators across Europe, supports the end of international roaming charges, and I commend parliamentary proposals in that regard and the work of the Commission in setting the objective to get there. And what I would say is that the Three Group has a long history of working alongside the Commission to defend these types of proposals. We fought alongside the Commission to defend the Rome 1 proposals in the courts, in the European Court of Justice, when the other operators, pan-European operators, challenged that. But abolishing roaming charges cannot be divorced from setting low wholesale rates. It is necessary that there is sustainable wholesale underpinning to those, to eliminating those types of abolishing retail roaming charges. And a failure to do so is very dangerous. And our concern is the market cannot wait for the Commission to make a recommendation in June 2015. To wait for another consultation from another body, it creates huge uncertainty. If inevitably, after all this work, it turns out that there is no cost-based wholesale underpinning to the abolishing roaming charges across Europe, then that will severely harm competition and ultimately lead to consumer detriment. But there is an opportunity for Parliament to act now, and we see that there are 2 options. One is set the rates themselves, determine what are the appropriate cost-based wholesale rates. There are amendments out there, the road amendments, there are others. Or, maybe more simply, include in the regulation a requirement for cost-based wholesale charges. A simple change which would actually say, set those rates based on what is the cost. Let me give you an example of how, in my experience, low wholesale prices can achieve great things in this area. In 3UK, we have launched a proposition called Feel at Home, which means that our customers can go to any of our jurisdictions in which we have operations in the EU, and they can operate as if they're in the UK. But we've also been able to extend that to other jurisdictions, such as the US. So right now, if one of our customers goes to the US, it's as if they're operating in the UK. So how can we do that in the US but not in countries like Germany or Spain? The answer is simple. It is the wholesale rate which causes the problems. Because in the US, we don't get charged what is the inevitable wholesale cap of 50 euros per gigabyte. We have a very slow amount we pay in the US, and we get all data, all voice, all SMS included. It supports our propositions in those jurisdictions. So, and what's happened since we've launched this Feel at Home proposition? We found is we have had a 13-fold increase in the amount of traffic that has been generated by these roamers. And that's in a 6-month period. It's amazing the take-up that we've had. But we cannot offer this proposition across the EU because the wholesale rates make it financially unsustainable. So, going back, the EU wholesale data cap bottoms out at 50 euros per gig. Currently it's 150 euros per gigabyte. This has nothing in common with what is the cost of providing that data. It is very much profit. I would point back to the EU recommendation on mobile termination rates, where the Commission actually recommended moving to cost-based mobile termination rates domestically. Off of the back of that, implemented in the UK, we were able to launch a plan which for 23 euros, you've got all-you-can-eat data in addition to 2,000 any network minutes and 5,000 texts. So think of that. If the average smartphone user in the UK is using 3 gigabits of data on a smartphone per month, and we're charging 23 euros for that, but then of course the cap in the EU that's currently in place would lead to that being 150 euros just for the data, not to mention the voice or SMS. The numbers just don't add up. And as a result of what we've done in the UK, mobile data has exploded in that market. 40% increase in data traffic, and we have over 40% on our network. So what will happen if we don't align this between what is the wholesale cost and actually the abolishing of roaming rates? Well, the only solution is it's going to be passed on to our domestic subscribers through higher domestic retail rates. That is the inevitable consequence. And that's bad for consumers, bad for competition. So in conclusion, the three group supports the end of international roaming charges, but the Commission and Parliament must ensure a sustainable wholesale underpinning to this retail policy objective. And the market can't wait. Too much uncertainty. Parliament should act now, and I've identified two options: either set the rates or actually put in a requirement for BEREC and for the Commission to determine those rates, but make it sure that it has to be cost-based. Thank you very much.